I'm pretty sure it was the last video that I released where I got this comment asking if I ever sell the speakers that I build. And I said no, and I answered the comment and I said no, and the reasons why might make a good video. So here we are. I had to dig out a prop to illustrate a point. I just found it, so that was a little bit of a delay. Okay, let's go back in time 20 years plus, more than 20 years, I'd say, well, 25 probably at this point. I had it in my head that I could start a speaker business. And before I started doing anything in earnest, I figured I would do some research. Because, you know, I knew, I don't mean about building speakers or designing speakers. I already had a pretty good understanding at that point. But I meant in the actual marketing side of things. And so my research took me to the point where I realized that I wasn't going to be able to do it. There's no way that I could, well, you know, it would be highly unlikely that I could make a speaker company that would be successful. And the reason has to do with this book that I have right here. This is The Shining from Stephen King. And the front cover is missing. It came off at some point. I don't know how old this is. I might have bought this used. But I've read this book, not this particular copy of the book, probably 3 times. I probably read this one at least once. And, well, no, I did read this one at least once. But I first read it when I was around 17, maybe 18 years old. And at the time, I was thinking that it would be a lot more scary, at least to me, if he left out the supernatural stuff. Because, you know, at the end of the day, even back then, even when I was, you know, a kid, I was never afraid of ghosts or anything like that. What I was afraid of, what would keep me awake if I was in a spooky house is the fact that maybe someone would break in and try to kill me, a real human. That's what I was afraid of. I wasn't afraid of ghosts or spirits or anything like that. So I thought that it would be way more interesting to make this a truly psychological thing where Jack, if you're familiar with the story, I hope I'm not spoiling it for you, but Jack flips out and actually goes insane and kills his family. Okay, I thought that would be more scary than adding in the supernatural stuff. And I've been thinking about that ever since, that idea. And I mean, the fact is that stuff sells. The supernatural sells. Reality is a harder sell. So I'm very, as much as I possibly can be anyway, reality-based person. And I can't dip into the mystical or the supernatural to try to sell a product. And my research into speaker building led me to think that that's what you needed to do. You either have to believe in the stuff that you're saying, or you have to convince the people that you're saying it to that you believe it. Because that's the only way that you're going to sell, be successful in the audiophile market. Now, I talked about audiophiles before in my video where I said that I wasn't an audiophile, and it's that irrationality, that desire to believe something that, you know, probably can't be proven. That's the problem with setting up a speaker company or any other company that caters to the high-end audience or market. So that is the detailed answer to that. There'll probably be more of my thoughts in the description of this video. Also, whatever I write in the description, I put in my first comment on the video, and then I pin that to the top so it's easily found. So I suggest you read through those on these videos because, you know, I tend to forget things or leave things out when I'm making a video like this because I don't script anything. It's just off the top of my head. I have an idea to do something and I do it. So I got more new CDs. I got 4 here to briefly talk about. The first one is this one right here, which is Pretty Hate Machine from 9 Inch Nails. This is I actually have the original release of this still. Okay, I just don't have the CD down here. This is the 2010 remaster of the original release. It was released in '89 and it sounded good. And the way I got into it was kind of interesting. I was in construction for 30 years, and you know, it might seem like it would be a thing that you would see quite often, is somebody having, you know, music on the site. But often if you have something playing music, the superintendent who runs the shop will come in wherever you're working and tell you to shut it off, probably for safety reasons or just on some sort of power trip. Okay, so you very rarely hear any music playing. But this was the exception. Well, there were a few exceptions over the years, but this one stands out because there was a flooring guy playing this on a little, you know, CD player in the room beside me. I was doing the cabinets in one room. He was in the room beside me, and he was playing this, and I was listening to it while I was working, and it really appealed to me. So I went in and I asked him, and this was kind of breaking, like, this was like calling a truce between me and him at the time, because I was installing cabinets and he was doing the floor. And often when you have a situation like that, you get some friction happening because he doesn't want you to be installing the cabinets where he's laying the floor or whatever. So I went in and I, you know, broke the ice, and I asked him what the music was that he was listening to, and it was this. And I've loved it ever since. Now I have this, and I have the Downward Spiral as well. And there are a couple in between this one and the Downward Spiral, and I think there's another one after the Downward Spiral, but I don't particularly care for those. This one I like the mostest, and I like the Downward Spiral, almost everything that's on the Downward Spiral. But I play this from beginning to end. This might sound really strange or even sacrilegious to somebody that's my age or a little bit older, a little bit younger, or grew up basically the same time as I did, but I was never really into Led Zeppelin. I mean, I liked them. I liked basically everything that they put out, but it wasn't anything that I would go out of my way to buy or listen to. So I bought these. This is 4, and this is 1. And the reason why I bought these is that they were supposed to be remastered. I had the originals that are not remastered. Here's the original of 2 right here. And I wanted to see how much better they sound. Unfortunately, they don't sound that much better. There is some improvement, but not the day and night. I can't say day and night, but the big improvement that they made when they remastered this. So like these 3 albums right here, and you can probably include 3 in here as well, from Led Zeppelin. Everything on here is good. I like it all, like I said, but I'm not absolutely crazy about it. I wouldn't rank Led Zeppelin among my favorite bands.